You can be better than yesterday, one day at a time. Have you ever noticed how you can binge watch an entire Netflix series without breaking a sweat, but somehow reading just one chapter of a book feels like climbing Mount Everest? Or how scrolling through social media for hours seems effortless, yet sitting down to work on that important project feels absolutely impossible? Here's the thing, we're all creatures of convenience, and there's actually nothing wrong with that. It's completely natural. But what if I told you there's a simple psychological trick that can flip this tendency on its head and make your productive habits just as easy as your lazy ones? Today, I'm going to show you how a tiny adjustment of just 20 seconds can completely transform your daily routine. This isn't about willpower or motivation. This is about working with your brain's natural tendencies instead of fighting against them. Think about it this way. Every single day, you make dozens of choices without even realizing it. Should I work out or watch TV? Should I cook a healthy meal or order takeout? Should I practice that skill I've been meaning to learn or just scroll through my phone instead? And 99% of the time, we choose whatever feels easiest in that moment. But what determines what feels easy? It's not the activity itself. It's everything that happens before the activity begins. Let me share a story that perfectly illustrates this. There was this researcher who desperately wanted to learn guitar. He bought an expensive instrument, signed up for lessons, and told everyone about his new hobby. He was genuinely excited about it. But week after week, the guitar just sat there in his closet collecting dust. Meanwhile, every evening after work, he'd collapse on the couch and mindlessly watch television for hours. Sound familiar? He couldn't understand why he kept choosing TV over guitar when he actually wanted to play music. The TV wasn't more enjoyable than guitar. In fact, most of the time he felt worse after watching it. So what was going on? The breakthrough came when he realized something crucial. Every time he wanted to play guitar, he had to walk to the closet, open it, pull out the heavy case, unzip it, take out the guitar, and only then could he actually start playing. This whole process took about 20 seconds, 20 measly seconds. But apparently that was enough friction to completely derail his good intentions. Meanwhile, watching TV required him to simply grab the remote and press a button. No obstacles, no preparation, just instant gratification. So he ran an experiment. He moved the guitar out of the closet and put it on a stand right in his living room where he could see it. Now playing guitar required the same effort as turning on the TV. Just pick it up and start. But he didn't stop there. He also made watching TV slightly more difficult. He took the batteries out of the remote control and put them in a drawer in another room. Now, if he wanted to watch TV, he had to get up, walk to the other room, retrieve the batteries, and put them back in the remote. The results were remarkable. Within days, his TV watching decreased dramatically while his guitar practice increased. He hadn't developed superhuman willpower. He hadn't attended any motivational seminars. He had simply adjusted the environment around him by manipulating what researchers call activation energy. Activation energy is the amount of effort required to start any activity. It's like the initial push needed to get a boulder rolling down a hill. Once it's moving, momentum takes over, but getting started requires that initial investment of energy. Here's where it gets interesting. The actual difficulty of an activity often has very little to do with whether we'll do it or not. Working out isn't inherently more difficult than lying on the couch. Reading a book isn't harder than watching YouTube videos. Writing isn't more challenging than browsing social media. What matters is how much activation energy each activity requires. And most of the time, we're completely unaware of these tiny barriers that are secretly controlling our behavior. Consider your phone, for example. It's probably within arm's reach right now, isn't it? You can pick it up and start using it instantly. There's virtually zero activation energy required. Compare that to something like going for a run, which might require you to change clothes, find your running shoes, check the weather, plan a route, and actually step outside. The difference isn't in the activities themselves. It's in everything that happens before the activities begin. And this is exactly what we can manipulate to our advantage. The beautiful thing about this approach is that it works with human nature instead of against it. You don't need to become a more disciplined person. You don't need to develop iron willpower. You just need to understand how your environment shapes your choices and then engineer that environment to support your goals. Let me show you exactly how this works in practice, because once you see these patterns, you'll start noticing them everywhere in your own life. Take exercise, for instance. Most people think they hate working out, but that they actually hate is everything's not really true. What that comes before working out? The mental negotiation about whether today is the day, the hunt for clean gym clothes, the drive across town to the fitness center, the awkward locker room experience, the intimidation of finding the right equipment. By the time you actually start exercising, you've already burned through most of your mental energy just getting there. No wonder it feels so exhausting before you've even lifted a weight. But what if you could eliminate most of those barriers? What if your workout clothes were already laid out? What if your gym was on your way to work? What if your equipment was set up and ready to go? Suddenly, the actual act of exercising becomes the path of least resistance. This principle extends far beyond fitness. Let's talk about healthy eating. You know you should eat more nutritious food, but somehow you keep reaching for processed snacks and takeout meals. Why? Because healthy food often requires more activation energy. You have to plan meals, shop for ingredients, prep vegetables, cook, and clean up afterward. Meanwhile, unhealthy food is engineered for convenience. It's already prepared, it's shelf-stable, and it's often located right at eye level in stores. The food industry has spent billions of dollars reducing the activation energy required to consume their products. But you can flip this dynamic. Spend one afternoon preparing healthy meals for the entire week. Cut up vegetables and store them in clear containers. Pre-cook proteins and grains. When hunger strikes, grabbing a healthy option becomes just as easy as reaching for junk food. Here's another area where this concept becomes incredibly powerful: your digital habits. Social media platforms are masters at reducing activation energy. Your apps are right there on your home screen. Notifications pull your attention throughout the day. Autoplay features ensure you never have to make another conscious choice about what to consume next. Meanwhile, productive activities like reading, writing, or learning new skills often require multiple steps to begin. You have to find your book, remember where you left off, or open the right application, or gather your materials. Each small step creates friction that makes procrastination more appealing. The solution isn't to rely on willpower to overcome these obstacles. Instead, reverse engineer the process. Make productive activities require less activation energy while adding friction to unproductive ones. Want to read more? Keep a book on your nightstand and another in your bag. Remove social media apps from your phone's home screen and bury them in folders. Better yet, log out of these platforms entirely so you have to consciously enter your password each time you want to access them. This isn't about perfection, it's about tilting the playing field in your favor. You're not trying to make bad choices impossible, just slightly less convenient. Meanwhile, you're making good choices the default option. The most successful people intuitively understand this concept. They don't rely on motivation or discipline more than anyone else. They simply structure their environment to make success more likely. They automate good decisions and add friction to bad ones. Think about your morning routine. If you want to exercise in the morning, sleeping in your workout clothes eliminates one barrier. If you want to eat a healthy breakfast, having ingredients prepped eliminates another. If you want to avoid checking your phone first thing, charging it outside your bedroom removes that temptation entirely. Each of these changes might seem insignificant on its own, but together they create momentum toward your desired outcomes. You're not fighting against your natural tendencies anymore. You're channeling them toward productive ends. The key insight here is that most of our daily behaviors aren't really choices at all. They're automatic responses to our environment. Change the environment and you change the behavior. It's that simple. This approach works because it addresses the real problem. The problem isn't that you lack willpower. The problem is that your environment is working against you. Once you align your surroundings with your goals, the right choices become obvious and effortless. The 20-second rule isn't just about timing. It's about recognizing that small changes in activation energy can produce massive changes in behavior. And the best part? These changes compound over time, creating lasting transformation that feels natural rather than forced. So there you have it. The secret to transforming your lazy habits isn't about becoming a completely different person or developing superhuman discipline. It's about understanding that your environment is constantly shaping your decisions, often without you even realizing it. The 20-second rule is incredibly simple, yet it's one of the most powerful tools you can use to take control of your daily routine. Make the things you want to do easier to start and make the things you want to avoid slightly harder to begin. That's it. Remember, you're not trying to eliminate all friction from your life or make bad choices impossible. You're just tilting the scales in your favor. You're working with your natural human tendencies instead of constantly battling against them. Starting tomorrow, look around your environment with fresh eyes. Where can you remove 20 seconds of effort from a positive habit? Where can you add 20 seconds of friction to a negative one? Pick just one area to experiment with and watch how quickly your behavior starts to shift. The most beautiful part about this approach is that once you start seeing results, it becomes addictive in the best possible way. You'll find yourself constantly looking for new ways to engineer your environment for success. Your future self will thank you for these small changes you make today. Because sometimes the difference between the life you want and the life you have is just 20 seconds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive even deeper into optimizing your mental performance. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel for more.